the two main things I do, which is I make my own music and I remix these old albums, and in some ways they're completely different sort of ethos involved, because the classic album is all about matching the sonics of the original mix. So for example, here I have The Who, Who's next album from 1971, and I've been working on this track, Won't Get Fooled Again, which I'm sure everyone knows. When it comes to my own music, I'm just doing I'm just trying to be intuitive and creative, and I'm not sure how to articulate exactly what I'm doing, if you know what I mean. Whereas it's easier with the classic album remixing, that's a process. I can articulate exactly what that process is. It's harder to articulate what the process of creating a song is, or it's always hard. It's always the $1 million question. How do you create music?
Yeah, well, with the classic album stuff, there's a predefined sonic goal. Whereas
Exactly.
with your own music, it's sort of like whatever I hear in my head, or maybe there's a happy accident that comes out and it sounds different from what I hear in my head.
It's almost like the opposite.
Yeah.
There isn't a goal. It's like let's just approach this like an idiot and try shit. No, really. I mean, it really is that. Try shit.
Yeah.
Load up a plugin, you don't know what the fuck it does. Just try hitting it, and that's so much a part of my process. Let's get the speakers up here. So this is my little upright piano, which is right behind you. And I love the sound of all the squeaky hammers in the piano. I love all that. I keep all that. I mean, there was a time when I would have filtered all that out. No, now I'm like, wow, it's so cool. So the first thing on there is, so that's the sound of the piano without the sketch cassette. So it's a bit blander straight away. So we put the sketch cassette on there. We had a bit of tape hiss, and it's a bit worn, and we add a bit of wow and flutter, so it starts to sound a bit. To me, straight away, it's got more personality. And also the other thing I did with this is I added this kind of digital distortion noise. And automated it so that it would so the piano has gone from this, which is comparatively clean, but perhaps a little bit bland, to this. And then when you put the vocal with that and all the other stuff, vocal there is this is what I'm talking about. This is what a lot of the urban guys do, is they use the kind of the vocal transform. So the formant and the pitch are I'm using the formant there to change the. So that melody is created not by the voice, but by the pitch changing, if you see what I mean. I didn't sing that melody, I created that melody by singing one note and then using the pitch to transform it to create the melody. I mean, it sounds a bit ridiculous like there, but in context, I think you get something really interesting. synth stuff going on as well. So there you go. That's an example. So there's a lot of DSP stuff going on in there, you know, in terms of rust, making the piano sound rusty, making the voice, you know, kind of twisting the voice into these new kind of shapes with using the vocal transformer tools, adding the sort of chaotic element of analog synths that are not, you know, they're not MIDI, they're just kind of creating sound, you know, what I would call sound design approach to keyboards. Adding sort of lo-fi techniques like tape hiss, tape saturation, warble, flutter. And for me, it goes from something that sounds comparatively clean and digital to something that sounds very organic and very alive and a bit odd and a bit sort of not quite sure what you're listening to there. And it takes a couple of time, you know, a couple of listens before you even figure out what's going on here.
In the Who track, there were 16 tracks. How many tracks do you have here?
109.
109.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know,
is that the full track count, or are some of those stems that were submixes of other stuff?
No, there's no submixes at all. You mean in the Who or in this?
In this, yeah.
No, but I mean, obviously that is the thing in the Who. They've recorded in a way that the whole kit has been mic'd up and summed to, I don't know, a kick drum track and then a stereo pair. So here, because I can, and because we do, and because we can, we keep everything separate, and that keeps all our possibilities open. So I mean, a lot of those tracks will be, you know, like blocks of harmony. I mean, there's a block of harmony vocals, so there's straight away there's 6 channels of vocals, and it's almost like within the same track you're going on this journey, and I love that. I've always liked that, you know. Take you know, being unpredictable even within just a single piece of music, let alone across a whole album. I've always liked records like that. You know, I grew up listening to records. I grew up, my parents used to listen to things like Dark Side of the Moon, and you know, so just growing up with that whole idea of the album as almost a piece of cinema, you know, analogous with a piece of cinema. Scenes. There's a scene, and then, you know, where everyone's happy, and then there's a scene where everyone's sad, and pop music didn't sort of like have a lot of that until progressive rock came along. Actually, no, that's not true. I think, you know, that's the sort of symphonic tradition, where classical music would have a movement which was joyous and then another movement which was more melancholic. But a lot of pop music doesn't have that. Pop music tends to be, it's a happy song or it's a sad song. But I love the songs where both can happen in the same song. It's like, oh, that bit's joyous, and that, oh, that bit, now it's changed mood completely. And that's kind of the progressive rock thing in a way. That's what makes, for me, that's the signature of progressive rock. You have different scenes within the same piece of music. So that's what, this is definitely what I'm going for on this next record.